Dave Hughes says that you can fish the black ant as a dry fly if you put floatant on it, or fish it as a wet fly. I am tying this one on a number 18 fine wire hook. It is a black ant, so I'm using black thread, although you can tie this as a cinnamon ant and use brown thread and brown dubbing rather than all black. The body, abdomen, and thorax are dubbing, and so I'm using some natural nymph dubbing. Whatever works. Should be a fairly fine dubbing with not a lot of guard hair in it. You don't want it to be real buggy. Ants, abdomens, and thoraxes are pretty smooth. And I'm just building a ball with the dubbing for the abdomen. Kind of look at that, look at the size of the hook and see what size I want the abdomen to be. Maybe just a little bit more. And then working to keep the abdomen and the thorax separated. That hair in there isn't going to be too bad. It'll kind of all blend into the legs. So for the legs, I'm using some black dry hackle, and it's sized sort of to the hook, but maybe a little bit long. What you have for hackle is going to kind of determine what size you tie these in. So I do pull out those barbs at the base and then clip them. That creates kind of little barbs, little short little pieces there that help grab that stem to tie it in. And I did tie it with the shiny side forward. I don't know that particularly matters. I think it helps a little bit with barb control so that the barbs stand up and go backwards rather than forward. And it's only 2 or 3 wraps of the hackle. Try to keep that hackle from going out over the front of the eye. Wrap up over the butt of that hackle, then I can just snap it out. I don't really need it on this particular one, but one of the things that I often do if those hackles are sticking out over the eye is to just put a half hitch on there, and then I'm pushing back with my pen, and that will push the hackle back, get that half hitch on there to hold it in the back so that I have clean space to dub in the thorax. And the thorax, same dubbing that I use for the abdomen. Dub a noodle, spin a dubbing noodle, and then wrap it, and try to keep the ball for the thorax separate from the ball for the abdomen. And then just wrap up behind the eye a little bit for the head. Doesn't have a sharply distinct head, 3 body parts like an ant would be, but it is good enough for fooling fish. Put a whip finish on it. And the number of wraps there can kind of determine the size of the head as well. Just take my scissors and push it against the thread, and maybe I'll just clip out a little bit of this fuzzy stuff here around the eye. I do use a diluted Goop for head cement. I'll put a little bit of that on the head. I have just a jar. Drop a needle in my jar, pick up just a drop, and dab that on the head. That'll make sure that that knot stays tied. The very traditional black ant.